are online. More people coming. All right, Valérie. Thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you. Amazing, a really interesting field. Yeah, as you said, would you like to shortly tell us why you choose the SEO writing sector, healthcare?
Hi, everyone, and hi, Catherine. Thanks for inviting me again. So I don't want to talk so much about me now, but I think it's important when you're freelancing to understand the background of the presenters, the people talking to you. So my background and my perspective is coming from healthcare, but marketing. I've worked for more than 10 years in marketing, doing medical devices and pharmaceuticals internationally. And I started freelancing in 2022. And I've been since then doing mostly writing and mostly blogs optimized for SEO. And it makes sense because SEO is a marketing channel. So my clients use SEO to get visibility, to get their blogs to rank on Google or other search engines, including AI these days. So it's kind of making sense. And I think what I can offer you, what I see writers benefiting from when they talk to me is this perspective of understanding yourself as a business and your clients as a business as well, and see how you contribute when they do SEO, how you contribute as a writer to their marketing efforts. And to give you just a little bit more background, most of my clients, they are in e-commerce. So that's the kind of experience that I have. Very few clinics I've been writing for. I also do nonprofit. I have medical writers. I'm helping them for their own SEO. And I also write these days a little bit outside of health in marketing. And I can tell you that if you can master health blogging, anything else will feel like something much, much easier. My audience is mostly a general public audience. So I'm used to simplifying medical terms and complex topics. And I spend most of my time, like 80% of my time, writing for clients. And the rest is a little bit of SEO editing, working with writers, a little bit of strategy, and a little bit of mentorship. I'm teaching SEO, as you can see now. That's it about me.
Now I have a question. Did I understand right that you mainly work with medical device manufacturers?
Yes, large multinational companies, actually, yes.
Wow, great. And you write blogs for them, or is that a different field of work?
Now, since I've been freelancing, I've been doing mostly more health than healthcare. So writing about products which can be sold online, e-commerce, which means they don't qualify. So in terms of regulatory, it's a bit easier, less restricted. They don't qualify as medical devices. But that's the thing, I use my experience from healthcare to everything I do, because we have the highest standards in terms of quality, accuracy. We're very strict. So that's, I think, what my clients benefit from, to appear to be experts and credible in their field. So even though they don't have much clinical evidence and they don't have to follow so many regulations, I'm still leveraging what I know from healthcare into health.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. I know what it feels like to have a medical background, and I really think it is a big advantage if you know where your products want to go and where the people come from. I also write a lot for patients, so it's awesome if you have an idea about it. But as you state, it's a perfect chance for medical writers to write anyway. Then you can just learn SEO as well, which makes your client base bigger, I guess. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so if you know me, you know I'm not here to convince you, to tell you, hey, you need to do SEO as an offer. It's up to you. But if you're completely new to freelance writing and you don't know about SEO, I'm here to give you an idea of what it is. And what I can tell you is that if you do learn SEO in the way that I see it, which is to create quality content that is online, those are skills you can leverage to any piece of writing you do. So if you like to do anything related to patient education, you can take that away with you. But also those skills, because they are meant to gain traffic and attract clients to the website and build trust. Those are the skills that you want to take with you as well as a freelancer, because you use this for your own website, your promotion, your LinkedIn, everything you do. So what I think is that if you learn those skills, they can be useful for anything you do as a freelance writer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So
yeah, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize, since we don't have much time here, if you don't know, if you're new to this, or even if you're experienced and you don't know what you should be focusing on when you learn SEO, you need to focus on 4 things. So the first thing is, how do you create content that builds trust, that is credible, which is the most important thing, especially in health and healthcare. And this goes a lot together with EAT. So when we talk about EAT later, please listen. And if you need to learn one thing about it, that's EAT. That's really, really super important. And even more so these days with AI.
Yeah, it's coming at the next question after that one.
Yes.
Yeah, but you were going 4 points.
Yes. The second thing, if there's one thing to know, is to focus on is to make sure you create content that is not only helpful, but more helpful than what's already existing. Because if you want your blogs to rank, you need to, and that's usually what's missing from writers, you need to know what's already available, and you need to get ideas of how you can do things in a better way, so you can use EAT, but you also need to leverage what your clients are doing, for example, and leverage your experience if you're a healthcare professional, but your focus should really be on whether or not what you're creating is helpful. That's really, really important as a skill to learn. So a lot of it, how do you know if you're being helpful? It's not just guessing. You need to understand search intent. So we're going to talk about that as well. So search intent is what people have in mind when they type something on Google, and what they type is a keyword. So more than the keyword, we really need to understand what the audience has in mind, the main queries, the questions they're having, and your job is to be as helpful as possible and answer this query. So it's very important to spend time on understanding what the intent is, analyze what you see, the results from Google. That's also worth to develop that. And number 3, because it's online, you need to show that you can bring value, but as quickly as possible. People don't have time. They will not read the whole thing. They will jump from one section to another. So it's very different from writing like a clinical paper or something that will be printed like a PDF file. It's your readers, they're not going to read your blog in a linear way. And that's really tricky, because you yourself, as you write, you edit, you read the whole thing. The editor will probably read the whole thing as well, the clients as well. But you need to keep in mind that the readers, most of them will only see sections of your blogs individually. They're only interested in one thing. So when you edit, you really need to keep this in mind. And when you write as well, that's the trickiest part of writing online content for me. So you need to be very concise and straightforward, and bear in mind, people don't have time to waste.
Yeah.
Number 4, if you write for lay audience or general public, like most blogs do, not all, you could be writing for healthcare professional, therapists as well. But I think it's even harder to do the additional translation into something that people can really understand, but still is accurate. And that's the other trickiest part of blogging in the health field. Translating something, but keeping the accuracy, the nuance that we need to have when we translate medical explanations. So really practice, this comes with practice, but really, again, it's worth to develop that skill, because that can help you for anything. And actually anyone, I think even healthcare professionals appreciate a certain level of simplicity. And if you're able to explain anything to your grandmother or your children, you can do anything in life, really. So those are the 4 skills that I think are transferable from SEO into everything else you can do. And of course, on top of that, we learn the little tricks like placing keywords and links and stuff, but this is the easy part of SEO, really. But if you can master the 4 skills that I've highlighted, then you're gold. I hope you realize this. It's super, super powerful.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I found the SEO part harder than the actually patient-facing writing part. I do a lot of, as I said, patient-facing blogs, and I'm writing a book at the moment and stuff. And I really, really enjoy that, to transform or translate that HTTP language into lay language. I did get into SEO mainly for my own website, and I found it seems to be easy, but when you really want to know it, when you really want to go to the ground of it, it's so much information. I'm just learning. Like I feel like I'm always just at the top of the iceberg. There's so much more to learn. But yeah, step by step. I'm curious which tips you have to give us to take it. Yeah, well, to start with it. Maybe I just started wrong as well. So yeah, it's not just about keywords. That's what I mean. There's the alt text, there's the H1, the H2, there is so many things, the internal and the link structure, the backlinks and all this stuff. Some people might not have known about it. What do you guess or what do you say where would it be good to start with? I found the keyword research, for example. In the beginning I was like, all right, I just Google what I would Google, but that's not it, is it?
No, keyword research is not the easiest part, but actually for writers, if you're at the start, based on my experience and what I hear from other writers, most of the time you get a brief, which is quite comprehensive, that should include a topic and a keyword at least. But what I think is valuable for you to learn is to learn how to build a blog from scratch. And in which case, yes, you need to learn how to research keywords if you're given a topic, for example. And keywords, again, are what people are type or search online. They can use a voice as well. And Google is still the main search engine, so I talk a lot about Google. So you need to understand keywords, but again, don't worry too much about it, because most of the time you will be provided with a keyword, and all you need to do and to know is where to place it. And that's the only thing that may feel a bit unnatural if you're a writer, but the goal is for those keywords to blend in naturally. So they should be grammatically correct, first of all, because you want to be credible. So grammar is important. So if you're given a keyword that's not correct, the first thing is make sure it is correct in your text. That's always the readers are more important. And then Google will be able to pick up on the difference anyway. And I will provide you a checklist, so you only need, to know where to place it. And the only reason why we're doing this is to help facilitate a little bit the work from the bots from Google, because they're not humans. So we need to tell Google, okay, this is what the article is all about, and we help it in this way. But again, they should blend in naturally. That's your trick. And I don't worry so much about them now, because I'm blogging every day. I don't even need to think about a checklist or where to place keywords anymore. But you have your main keyword, and it's placed in the title and in strategic places. Yes. Now, a lot of writers think that if you get a blog and you need to optimize it for SEO, the only thing you need to do is to get those keywords and place them in the strategic places, like I said, from the checklist, and tada, you get a blog that's optimized for SEO. And it's far, far from being enough. But I know you don't know if you don't know, right? But still, a lot of writers and editors think it's all about keyword placement. It's really not. What's really important is you understand the intent, what people have in mind when they type the keyword. And this is like your North Star. One of my clients used this, and I think it's very true. It's guiding your writing. So it's it's worth spending time on researching the intent. I take note of it. It's part of the brief that I'm using. And I try to keep this in mind all along. So the outline and everything else, the structure of the blog, depends on the intent, what you're trying to satisfy. And you're trying to do a better job than competition, what's already ranking online.
So is it right, sorry to interrupt you, do I understand right, you have like, for your clients, you write a whole blog, not just one blog post at a time, but you have like a whole blog, a theme, and then you write many posts about it. Did I understand that right?
Yes, this can happen, that I create the strategy as well. So from the keywords or from topics and then into individual blog posts, which form like a pillar, a series of blogs around the same topic. So I do this now, but at first I was just assigned a topic or a keyword, and then I needed to come up with the whole brief myself. But like I said, most of the time you do get a brief. You have, especially if you work with an agency, you have a strategist and an editor in there who are in charge. But I think it's important, in the next step to be able to create this brief yourself, because it gives you critical thinking, because not all editors are very good at what they do or very knowledgeable in SEO. So then when you get to the next step, not only you can complete the brief like a good writer should do, but also you can push back sometimes if you can. I know it's not always the case depending on the client and the countries, the cultures and stuff. But at least you can, if you disagree with the editor, I'm able, to argue why it's better this way. And usually there's no pushback from the editor. They're really happy to get my help and make the whole thing better. So, it's about going step by step, but
yeah.
You should have the intent in the brief. It should be clearly defined, and it's not just people are looking for information. Yeah, that's great. Which information? What are their concerns? Which misconceptions they could have? Because you need to target those. All those pieces of information that are going to be so helpful for you to guide your writing.
So
and this is what the editor should do.
Is it more like working in a team then? It's not that you are the one who has all the responsibility, because I thought if you write a blog post and you need internal link structure, you also need to know the other blogs. You also need to know the other posts. Where could you link to? Where does it make sense? And I'm wondering how you structure or how you realize that actually.
Yes, so I have a template I'm following in those situations where you're not given anything, but I think it's a minority of clients. Most of the time you do get those links given by the client or the editor as part of the brief. So you should know which related blogs you should link to, for example. So you should get a lot of information, but what I saw is that very often the most important information is the intent, and that's missing. Or the writers don't look into the top results and try to see how they can do a better / different job to what's already online. We just jump straight into the research for clinical studies around the topic, to get knowledgeable, which is very important. But with SEO, you also need to make sure you're creating something that you want to rank, you want to help your clients get visibility. So you do need to spend time on understanding really what people are looking for, the intent, and what's already available out there.
And is that part of your job, or does that come from the client? Do you expect your client to give that to you, or is that something you do?
I think it's on the writer to make sure they understand this, even when it's provided as a written information within the brief. The writers are always doing the extra step they're always the one who knows the topic the best. Even when I'm the editor and I know the topic, editors maybe get 1 hour to build the brief at most. There's no way they know all the clinical evidence, they know the audience as much as the writers will.
Yeah.
So for me, as an editor, at least for good ones, okay, not everybody, but good editors usually rely a lot on writers to complete the the research.
Yeah, well, great, thank you. Then I have an idea how that kind of works. Yeah. I know that it's really important for you to talk about EEAT. Yeah, well, would you like to explain that, what you meant before?
Yes, EAT is super important. It's always been so. That was my focus from when I started, and the only thing I've seen in the last 3 years is that people talk even more about it now. It's a key concept, so it's not a ranking factor, but it's kind of a guideline that Google provided. And I found that if you follow this guideline the best you can, that's a good way to make sure your content is of high quality. And it's even more important for healthcare related topics, because you can change people's lives. So just to give you a few pointers, because again, I could spend another hour on EAT, and I will, because it's important. But for you to understand, it's all about building trust at the end of the day and how to be credible. That's the most important thing. So the last letter, which is T, is trustworthiness, and that's the most important. How to build trustworthiness? Well, there are simple things you can do as a writer. Just make sure that, for example, the publication date of the blog is in there. If anybody revised it, it should be transparent on who has written the blog, who's revised it, on which date it was revised as well. So it's all about transparency. You should have a full editorial process on the website. So maybe not something that you cover in the blog, but something you can see from your client's website and advise them on. If any conflict of interest, medical disclaimer saying, hey, this is not medical information and you should consult a healthcare professional, this kind of disclaimer, they show transparency as well. There should be, for the author, and that's good for us, the best practice with SEO is to have a dedicated author page. So not only you get a byline on each blog, we know who's written them, but you can, ideally, you can click on the author name, and then there's a dedicated page with a longer biography with credentials in line with the expertise required for this client. That's also ideal if you have those. But if you don't, I only have a science degree, I'm not a doctor, and I can still, I survive. You'll be okay. But if you have those credentials, please make sure, or experience, please make sure it's very clear in your biography for this client. You should link to your social media as well. Anything that shows that you're real human, because these days even experts can be fake. But all of that are trust signals for Google and for anyone, for any human reading this blog. It gives a lot of credibility. So that's the T for EAT, and then the A is authority. Some of the authority is coming from the websites. There's nothing you can do, but if it's a brand like Healthline or very well known in the field, you will benefit from this. You have better chances of ranking your blogs. But what you can do as a writer to build authority, for example, is to have a proper list of references, the scientific references you've used, things like that. That should be very transparent. Any claim you're making should be backed up by evidence. That's one way to show authority. Then you have two E's. One is for personal experience and one is for expertise. Expertise is quite straightforward for us. So that would be the credentials for the author, like I mentioned already, the grammar, pretty basic. You could bring expertise by your own experience if you're an MD talking about your area of expertise, or you're a nurse or someone with the background that fits. Or you could bring in the expertise like I do from outside, which is having expert quotes in there. That's super valuable. And in my view, not an option anymore. You need to bring something human and unique to content if you want to differentiate with anything generic and sort of AI generated. And it's something that readers really appreciate as much as Google. So we should always try to get at least one expert to comment on my blog. And personal experience is the latest edition from Google from a few years ago. And it's interesting as well to understand that, for example, if you're a nurse and you're writing on how to draw blood and you have that experience, it should reflect in your writing, and that's very valuable to build your credibility and to get interest. You should be, for example, sharing tips, best practices, this kind of format, demonstrate expertise or experience. You could be, say, writing about patient stories, something very personal. This has a lot of value as well. So it's, if you understand EAT, then you understand better how you can bring value to your blog, how you can do better than competition, and use EAT for yourself. If you learn this, it's going to come automatically. Anything I do in my LinkedIn, I don't think about it, but it's like, yeah, every time I mention a statistic, I need to mention the source. These things like that. Transparency, super important to build trust. So being transparent about your processes as a writer, you can transfer everything into what you do in your freelancing.
Yeah, that's a good breakdown, I'd say, about EAT. Thank you for explaining that. I think nobody of us really knew what it's about, and I think there's more to learn about it, but yeah, we have limited time, so let's just keep going for now and then open the Q&A. Yeah, what is often missed by young SEO writers, newbies? What would you say are the biggest pitfalls?
Yeah, I think I've covered this a little bit, so saying that you need to push a bit further on the intent analysis and analyzing what you see from Google, because and you don't need any fancy tools, only Google, because there are so many insights you get from Google on top of your own knowledge and experience. For example, to identify what is missing, how analyzing the top blogs, that's what we do with my mentees. We practice on analyzing what's ranking and get ideas of how we can do better. So you can use EAT for that. You can use, then when you have clients, you can think in terms of what your clients are doing and how helpful what they're doing could be, if that makes sense for your blog. And it's really about practicing how to identify patterns. So when you search for your keyword on Google, you may see, for example, questions coming there. People also ask section, and you can use those questions as an FAQ in your blog. Simple things like that, they add so much value. And very few writers know about this. I think the way I've differentiated myself with my clients is also based on those insights. So as a writer, maybe you're not in charge of visuals, for example, but visuals, as we know, when you want to educate in particular, they're very powerful as well. So if you know that your client, they have a team, they have designers to do infographics, or if you do infographics yourself, you can bring additional value. If you see from Google that people are looking for images or that other blogs don't provide infographics, so you know how that would be helpful. And then, you come up with ideas. And my clients really appreciate, the additional recommendations I can do on visuals and everything else than text writing. But even if you're in your writing, it's very easy to try and break it down by having like bullet points, number lists, things like that. Very practical, so much easier to read online. Yeah. And I love tables as well. So you could have a summary table for people who don't have time, but they get all the information from there, and tables that's within your scope. So you can do that. All those things, that will show that you understand your audience and you want to help them get engaged and get what they want from the blog, whether it's being educated or being promoted something, because sometimes blogs are quite commercial as well. And that's okay, because if you identify from the intent that people are ready to buy, they're looking for a solution, and your clients have this solution, then it's perfectly appropriate to have a blog which is a bit more commercial.
Yeah. Would you recommend a course for SEO, like a typical SEO course you can find everywhere on the internet, or is there some other way you would recommend
I
people that?
I did the trainings from HubSpot myself to get certificates, but all the trainings that I saw are not for writers, so they also include backlinks and everything that you technical stuff, which are important for SEO, but we don't need to know. But if you wanted certificates, then yes, there are lots of trainings online around SEO.
So you do say that, or think that those courses are really technical? Because I wondered do I know all about the Google Analytics? What I'm learning right now, I'm doing a course. They talk about website design. They talk about all these technical things. And yeah, I'm not a technical person. I'm more a heart person, writer from my heart. And I do want to know, of course, SEO, because it makes sense. But how much SEO do you really need to know? So,
yes, exactly. And they don't give so many examples of what is good practice in terms of writing a blog. It's very generic.
Yes. So, do you work with Google Analytics at all?
Not so much. I learned how to use the Google Search Console, which is the other tool for analytics.
Yeah.
But only because I was interested in doing strategy work. That's how I diversified, because my niche is SEO, and I was interested to do strategy. So I started to look into analytics. But again, if you're a writer, you're probably not expected to track the analytics, and you don't need to do that. If you just want to see if your blog is ranking, you just need to check your keyword on Google from time to time. And if your blog is in the top 3, screenshot this and display this on your website like a trophy.
Yeah.
The ranking can change over time, and it does take time to get there, by the way. I didn't mention this, but it's a long-term activity, SEO. So that means that they will order blogs from you every month, typically, because they have a lot of content to build, and which is nice for me. So I have my regular clients every month, like a retainer profile. And that's also why I like SEO. I don't need to reach out to clients as much. But yeah, it also takes time to get results, because it takes time for Google to pick up your article and then rank it. It can take months or even a year to get there. Like it can take a few weeks, but you never know unless you work for Google. So that's something to keep in mind if you start working for a client, with having in mind that you want a case study to show for yourself. You probably need to work with this client for a few months at least in order to try to see any results, if anything is happening. Especially if they're a new website at the start of SEO, they don't really know what they're doing.
Do you use tools like Ubersuggest? I find it quite interesting to see how many keywords, how many people are looking for them, and how many people are answering those questions. So for me, I found Ubersuggest quite useful. Do you use them too? Do you recommend using them?
Yes, it's. I have a list, but simply because I started using SEMrush and it does the job, I tend to train people on SEMrush. But there's no wrong tool. So I think SEMrush, or Ahrefs, or Ubersuggest are all tools that you can use. They will do the same thing to you. And yes, they're useful also to get ideas of what people are looking around the keyword itself as well. If you want to be a bit more specific, it's helpful. And yes, to check. But again, they're only estimates, so don't take it for granted. What you see from a tool is just like AI, with a bit of a hindsight. It's not always correct, but it gives you a clue of how the volume of search is and the difficulty for your keyword.
Yeah, well, I found it also quite helpful, or to see, okay, there is just many people answering. There's a lot of competition, so I'm gonna choose a different keyword, for example. I just wanted to ask you again. You said in the beginning that you were mentoring as well. What does that mean? Could anybody who is here is more interested, like, book some time with you, or do you offer courses, or one-on-one meetings? Well, I just
started doing this because I felt very lost when I was learning SEO, and in the end, I learned a lot with my with my clients for my mistakes. So I was thinking, oh, I wish I had someone to show me what real practice, practicing a blog, writing a blog from scratch looks like, so that I could save a lot of time. So that's what we're doing with my mentees. I accompany them to write a blog from scratch. From an idea of topic that they have, and by the end, the blog is published, and so they can start a portfolio with their new writers. But I've had experienced writers as well coming to me, which is amazing, because it shows that they want to keep learning, keep upscaling themselves, and it's also hard when you're freelancing, because if you do something and the client is okay with it, you kind of keep doing the same thing, but you may not know that maybe there's a better way of doing things. So I've had also experienced writers coming to me and say, hey, I just want a refresher to be up to date and make sure what I'm doing is right. And it builds their confidence. And then they go back and say, okay, now I know I'm doing things right. And I've learned a few things on the way. And I'd like to do this also. And especially, if you have a few years of experience writing, but you're not able to face any type of situations. Like I said, if you don't have a comprehensive brief and you don't know how to build a blog outline from scratch, those are the things that you can think about to keep upgrading yourself. And that's how I was able to help. But I'm doing a lot more videos, so you will see a lot more of my face on LinkedIn and everywhere. That's the plan for this year.
Yeah, awesome. So, everybody who doesn't join Valérie yet should actually join her now to keep updated. Do you have a newsletter, Valérie?
Nah, marketers not doing marketing.
After the summer, I want to figure that out because it just sometimes it feels like LinkedIn posts don't really reach everyone who maybe wanted to be reached. I found posting on LinkedIn. Because you never know who actually gets the post. So I'm thinking about newsletters. Yes, anyway, thank you for sharing all your knowledge so far. Does anybody have any questions? Just raise your hand or just unmute yourself. Well, I have one more question, or actually two. Mm-hmm. I just read that Google is getting rid of the old typical Google search, like just typing in a few words, like all keywords, and then getting the list. They want to be more like ChatGPT. They want to have like an AI robot answering your questions. What do you think about that? And how do you think that will change the SEO world, the keyword research, or will it stay the same?
Well, the thing is, the SEO world changes every month or so, if not every week, it's interesting. But yeah, it's already changed a lot since the introduction of AI, because then Google is competing with those, so they've came up with a lot of updates, including the AI overview. So what's already happening is if you, especially on very educational, high-level topics, you can get the answer to your question without clicking anywhere. That's already happening. So now we tend to focus more on commercial blogs than educational, but in health, again, can you trust AI? Not yet. People tend to be more skeptical, so the adoption, I think, is slower. So I think we're still safe, on the safe side. And I think if you're a brand in health or healthcare, you do need to demonstrate your expertise and build credibility in one way or another. And blogs are a great way of doing that. So even if they if they were not ranking as much or getting clicks from Google as much, when you can imagine if this was my website and I have like 10 blogs about health blogging, you would think, okay, maybe she knows a little bit about health blogging. But if I have 100 blogs, then you would think, oh, wow. And of course, if they're quality blogs.
Yeah.
you probably think, oh, wow, she must know something about health blogging. And that's what's happening with clients, and blogs are promoted in different ways as well. They have social media, they have other ways to promote the blogs, but also repurpose them in anything else they do with their marketing. So there's always like a return on investment with blogging, I found. But it's true that it's evolving, it's changing, and I think now we need to be more aware of how people search, but if they could talk to you and have a conversation, meaning you answer one question that was good enough in the past, but now you need to think, okay, what would be the next question? And should I address this in this blog or in another blog, but direct people in this way, in a helpful way. So I see a lot of blogs, the structure now with the headings is more like a question and answer type of format.
Yeah.
I see a lot more videos as well. We're trying to be more creative around it. But at the end of the day, what clients really want and need is to be able to be credible enough so they can be used as a source. So it was the same with featured snippets. What you get at the top of Google answering your question even before AI, that was the same concept. Google, they want to bring you the answer as quickly as possible. So it's always been there. It's just getting different and better. But we've always had people who will not click anywhere because they just want a quick answer to that query, and that's okay. What we want are people who are really interested in the topic or really keen to buy anything, and then that's what my clients want to get on their website.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I saw that I'm obviously doing a lot of medical healthcare research, and I saw these AI-generated answers. And I always scroll through them because I just can't trust it. I mean, I'm not a complete AI fan. I'm not like hating AI. I just don't really trust it, especially not with healthcare or like. I think it's quite good for brainstorming or organizational tasks. It helps me a lot there, but I don't trust it when it comes to information, like real information, facts. It just makes up things. But anyway, Google is changing. It's an interesting journey. We will see where it goes. And as I read, most of the people, they scroll through it because many people have trust issues with AI. And we will see. What my next question was many people are using ChatGPT, and SEO is all about Google optimization, mainly because Google is the biggest machine or search machine. But these days, I think ChatGPT is just as important. People go to ChatGPT and ask questions there. And as you say, you have this answer question thing going on. Do you have any idea how to optimize for ChatGPT? What I heard was, for example, using long-tail keywords. Do you have any ideas there?
Well, again, everything that I read as well is just going in the same direction of creating quality content that builds trust. And if you do that, then everything else will follow, because what Google and GPT, Perplexity, or AI algorithms are doing is also trying to read people's minds. So if you just do it yourself and understand what people are looking for, you will end up also ranking on GPT and be mentioned as a source if you're credible and you answer specifically what people are looking for. It goes back again to intent and those basics that people tend to skip. But I think it's just normal to hear. We hear a lot of different theories from SEO people, and it's part of their job as well to show that it's complex, and it is in a way. But I think you should focus on what matters, which is the audience, and then Google and everything else that's just trying to catch up with you. Really, that's the way I see it.
Right.
Maybe oversimplifying it, but that's what I've been doing, and my clients have not lost.
It works.
Been impacted.
Yeah. Well, we've got a question from Batu. Batu, do you want to talk or do you want me to read it? Well, I guess I'm just going to read it. It's he or she, sorry, says, "Hi, Val. I have a question here. Apologies, I cannot open my microphone. Oh, yes, I'm in the train. Now we know. Sorry. Loving your opinions already. My question is how to deal with clients who have no much knowledge about SEO but rely for fast results through AI. What is your opinion about that?" And how
well, there have been a few people who took the opportunity of generating content with AI so that they can create larger volumes of content. And there's already been an update from Google penalizing those. So they've already been punished, and some of them changed their opinion. So it should be clear for everyone now that if you 100% rely on AI for content, it's not going to work. But again, if you think about EAT, I'm sorry, basic stuff. If you think about EAT, how do you bring personal experience or expertise from an AI tool? So even if and I use AI a lot, I'm not against it. It's a great assistant. But if you don't have those skills and you prompt it, you cannot expect to have high quality output. And then there are also some clients, I think, that just expect you to edit some AI generated content and think it's going to be a quick edit. But if you think about what you need to do to create quality, then it's definitely not a simple edit that's needed. You need to talk to experts, you need to bring in experience, you need to cut the fluff, because it tends to be not only generic but repetitive, what you get from AI. So that it's a lot of editing work, almost like writing from scratch. At the moment, of course, it's evolving, it's going to get better, but at the moment, the things that people are craving for, which is human experience and expertise, is not something that can be brought by AI. So of course, you're not going to do a great job if you only rely on AI today. That was demonstrated, but it's a great tool. It's an amazing tool.
Yeah, what I can say from the translation business is that there was a big wave. It's like falling in love. Everything is perfect. Everything is great. So we're only going to use AI, so we don't have to pay for translators. And then, the pink glasses fall off, and they're like, it does have its flaws. Maybe we use it combined with translators. And I think it's going to go the same way with the writing. They just need to make the experience see it's not going to work. And many times we'll lose clients through this cheap content. And as you say, I use it too. I find it really helpful. But people want to talk and communicate with people. And I don't think AI can ever copy that. And the expertise is just, it's just something AI can't copy, right? And if you see blog posts anywhere where there is no author or no writer, underneath like the headline or somewhere in the blog post, then you can actually guess it's AI made. And I know from many people I'm working with that they don't use those contents. They would just take another website. There's enough content out there. And if I don't see who wrote a text or something, then it's not, as you say, I can't trust it. And then I won't use it. And smart people and clients who care about their clients and about their reputation, they won't want you to do that. And if they do, they will realize it's not right. And they will miss out money. And in the end, it's all about money, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. But again, I know I'm saying this because I'm 3 years in a freelancing game. It's different at the beginning, but if I lost anyone because they said what I do can be done by AI, I wouldn't care about those clients. They're not the one I want to get anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think.
That's also why you should know your value as a writer and what you bring. That's different from AI. That's very important to know these days, because you can't actually compare the two. And especially in health, because you need to reference to sources. on top of having experts, and AI is just not good at interpreting data or providing you with the right sources. Up to date as well, they tend to be outdated if you ask AI for sources. So it's just not there yet, but you need to know how you differentiate yourself, and hopefully you get clients who value this experience.
Exactly. Batu Amruta wrote, thank you for the insights, Werner and Catherine. And Batu wrote again, thank you so much. You're welcome, both of you. I recently worked with a health startup. It was quite fast-paced, and they had expectations of doing SEO and get results like in a day. At times, these expectations are really tough to convey when there is AI. What tools would you suggest to give quick keyword research on any specific health-related topic?
Again, not the kind of client you want, because working faster it only comes with experience, and even then, because more and more research is needed, and if you need to talk to experts and all that. So 80% of my time writing a blog is research, is before writing. I think it's, it should be similar if you're writing in health in particular. So if they try to save time, again, it's the wrong focus. You should always prioritize quality, because and I know with SEO, the trick is you need a lot of volume as well. But if what they publish is not quality, it's not going to do the work for them, and it's going to impact their reputation. It's not going to do anything good. So with my clients, there's a lot of pushback. I'm pushing back. I could get a lot more money, but I'm pushing back, saying I can only do 1-2 articles per week. That's for health. That's the maximum I can do personally, because if you ask me to look for experts and all that, and to have a few days, to edit best conditions in the world, well, I can't do 20 blogs per month and say that they will be high quality. I wouldn't be proud of them. So it's just not, if you expect quality, it's just not possible. And there's no tool, even if you use AI, that can speed up the process to the point that you can do it in 1 hour. I would doubt very much you can do a good job in 1 hour. It's just so much research that's needed, and
even if you use AI for an outline, you still need to check the facts. You still need to find experts. You still need, you have an outline. Okay, well, that's done in like 5 seconds, but then the deep work is just not possible. I'm totally with you. And what I also think is, of course, I started 2 years ago in my career as a freelancer, and of course we take jobs just to get a reputation, just to get testimonials, which I wouldn't take now. But now I see it like, I could rather spend that time that I use for those bad clients. I could rather spend that time finding good clients, like clients who worship me. And maybe that's something you guys can take with you. It's much more important to have less clients, but good ones who worship you, and they will also pay you, and they will also give you fair conditions. And then at the end of the day, you can be happy with what you're doing. But if you just send out like let's say 20 blog posts a month, which are not high quality, then you also will suffer for yourself. Your mental health will suffer, because you will never be happy with yourself. And that is something many people don't have in mind when they start, that you should be proud of what you're doing, and that you should be fulfilled with what you're doing. And you can't do that if you just work like a dog, and just send out cheap AI content. It's not working. So what I'm saying is, know your worth, trust yourself, and don't waste time on bad clients like this, I would say.
Yeah, so like you said, at the beginning, you have an objective in mind, which also what I did, very low paid jobs, but my objective was to build my reputation, social proof, get some experience. As long as you have this objective and you make sure you don't get stuck in that phase for too long, that's the problem. You're kind of in this cycle of not being able to escape bad clients if you if you stay in that phase for so long, because they don't pay, etc., etc. They don't get results.
Yeah.
But if you have the right objectives in mind, and from the beginning should be to build a reputation, do the best job you can, regardless of the circumstances, learn, and then get better. But it's important, yes, to at some point to drop them and go to the next step, which I know it's easy to say, it's hard to do, but otherwise you're just stuck in that phase and not going anywhere.
And stuck in that phase also means you don't have time to learn new things like marketing. So you will be stuck in that low-paid jobs. You have to work a lot of hours. You don't have time for marketing, and I mean, that is like a circle. It's just not good. So keep in mind that one of the biggest things as a freelancer is not to be the best writer, is not to be the best translator or designer, is to be good at marketing yourself and be confident in asking for testimonials. Also, instead of doing low-paid jobs, you could do pro bono work. There is a lot of pro bono alternatives. Nobody's going to say no to free work. But then also, for me at least, it feels better to do a job without money, but for a good intention, and then get an honest testimonial for this. So I'm still doing this. I mean, MedTalks is for free, it's pro bono, and I said in the beginning to Valérie, it's also because I love to learn along the way, and I hope you guys, learned a lot today too. I did, of course, and I'm always happy to meet nice people, nice colleagues as well. Yes, is there an end note you would like to send us on the way, Valérie?
No, well, guys, where to find me on LinkedIn, and I'm always open to help and reply to any question when I can. So don't hesitate to reach out. And I've just created a checklist to help you with SEO. That's also something you can get from me, things like that. And please let me know if you have any burning question in mind, because I'm always willing to try and address those. Thank you so much.
I will just share your link. I will share your LinkedIn profile with the post about the webinar tomorrow, so that everybody can get easily in contact with you. And I will also share the link you sent to me this way. So, well, thank you guys. Have a lovely rest of your day. It was a pleasure with you. Oh, thank you so much, Val and Catherine, Batu says, and Wendy and Maida. Maida says the concept of SEO is much clearer now. Well done, Valérie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.